Welcome into another edition of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montia, and I am still a little hungover from last night. I'm still your mayor, though, of not only PHNX, but of the postseason. And I got these two guys backing me up today. They did a little less drinking last night than I did because they had work to do, but they still got plenty of champagne sprayed on them. Of course, I'm joined by my tag team partner over here, the one and only Patrick Lyons, and my vice mayor and your thunderstick, the returning Jesse Friedman, who I feel like I haven't seen in studio in 8 months.
It's been a while.
Have you been drinking enough water? You're drinking coffee.
You know what? I have to give a shout out to Patrick because he was literally like running water errands for me yesterday, making sure I stayed hydrated during the game.
That's why we keep this guy around, because I know he can watch you when I'm unable to. But Jesse Jr., of course, he missed you very much. He's grown a mustache since you left, and things have gotten weird. But
they grow up so quick.
They grow up so quick. Boys, what a win last night for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I know you guys were both there present, and I know you guys both kind of gotten to witness this crazy run this team has been on. I don't know if I've ever seen anything as crazy as that third inning last night with those 4 home runs hit. Yeah. I know a lot of people are still talking about the Gabriel Moreno home run, where I think it was Andrew McCutcheon that tweeted out, I've never seen someone hit a foul home run and then just come back to hit a real home run in the next, in the next pitch or the next two. I don't know if it was the next pitch. I think it was a few pitches later.
No, it was
next. It was the very next pitch.
That was what Tori said, is like, you see it in Little League and you're like, oh, it never happens.
Yeah.
Where as soon as you hit one foul, you're like, it's impossible to do it.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's happened second, third, fourth pitch.
Sure.
But literally the next pitch.
Yeah.
What?
Especially in that instance where there was a question of whether or not it was foul, and they had to go back and review it. You had Gabby already come back to the dugout, and then he had to come back in to go back in up to the plate.
He ran around the bases entirely.
Yeah.
we were watching the Clips highlights last night, and Lance Lynn's reaction or non-reaction when Moreno hit the real one, he just like looked down, didn't look at it at all. He was like, I am so toast.
Yeah.
Why didn't Dave Roberts take me out? Yeah. Why am I in this game? This is awful. His reaction was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, the Dodgers definitely have a lot of things, a lot of questions to answer today. And I mean, that organization definitely, has some issues. I mean, they're the second 100-win team to never once hold a lead an entire playoff round. That comes from ESPN's Aldine Gonzalez. Like, that's crazy. That is like to never hold a lead once. And I mean, obviously, we know they had the bye, but like, you go this 162 game season, you play so well, you get to this record. And then again, this, we get to these playoffs, and the Braves, they're struggling as well with the Philadelphia Phillies, who are kind of in the same role as the Diamondbacks, where they never stopped playing baseball. They just kind of kept playing. And even though it's absurd how many games these teams have under their belt now at this point, it almost once again seems like the right answer is to never stop playing baseball. Obviously with the Dodgers, though, there's a lot of disappointment over there in Los Angeles right now.
There's a lot of disappointment, and I think Bill Shaken, writer for the LA Times, wrote a story today about what exactly who exactly is to blame for the way that the Dodgers performed in this series, and he made it very clear in his column, which I agree with. You cannot blame the layoff for this. You cannot blame, the fact that the Dodgers, didn't play for 5 days or whatever it is. There's this thing called the All-Star break in baseball, and I'm told that teams are expected to like still be able to play baseball when they come back.
I've heard that.
That's like a 4-day break as well, right? Monday through Thursday. So yeah, there's really no excuse for that in my mind. And I think it's going to be the same now for the Diamondbacks. They're in a similar position, right? They played yesterday. The game 1 of the NLCS is not until Monday. That's a full 4 days, Thursday through Sunday, that the Diamondbacks are not going to be playing a competitive game. And if the D-backs come out flat on Monday, the same goes for them, right? The Diamondbacks can't come out flat on Monday just because they have this 4-day, period of time off. These are professional athletes. They deal with a lot of adversity. This is a really hard sport to play. And I just don't think that that's a valid excuse for, the way that the Dodgers performed in this series.
Freddie Freeman, his comments yesterday, which if you play it back multiple times, kind of like the Zapruder film, you're like, wait, am I seeing something? He kind of just ended with saying, 3 games. Like, yeah, we didn't do it. They were combined, 1 for 21.
Yeah, Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. Yeah,
like a handful of walks, like nothing. They went. The
one hit
quiet.
Was an infield single.
Yeah, so they didn't get it done. But I think the thing that Freddie Freeman was kind of holding on to, 3 games, and like, okay, yeah, but that's just kind of how the setup is, and you could tweak the format all you want, but you got to win the games, and things are going to happen. We've also really only had this format for a very short amount of time, so with the small sample size, wild things could happen, and I imagine over a long period of time, the better team ends up winning more times than not. But
people point to the Astros last year who had that layoff, and they went all the way to the World Series. They didn't seem to bother them one bit. Yeah. We also have the Braves who, again, they're struggling with the Phillies, but the Phillies are a good team. I don't know if that's an indictment of the Braves, time off, or if it's just a matter of these two teams are rivals and they weren't really that far off during the season. We know the Braves have a more complete team, but we do know that the Phillies have the edge when it comes to, like, I guess, experience, right? Yeah. I mean, they just have more experienced guys. I want to say this about the Dodgers because I love a chance to bury, especially David Peralta after what he said in regards to Chase Field and everything like that. But if you want to talk about why the Dodgers lost this series, Jesse, you told us, and we joked about this, but this is an actual thing that happened, that you saw at one point the Dodgers choreographing dance routines, essentially, or practicing the little dance that David Peralta did on base. The dance he did on base when they were down, I believe, 9-0 in game 1, that he just couldn't wait to do because they just practiced it, so they had to fit it in like the Savannah Bananas somewhere, right? And I really feel like that could just be an example of the way that the Dodgers prepared for this series, their mindset coming in against this Diamondbacks team, those arrogant comments about Chase Field being like Dodger Stadium East, all of that stuff combined makes me feel like the Diamondbacks took this more seriously. They were better prepared, and they were out there, like Ryan Thompson said, playing every game like it was their last game, versus the Dodgers that kind of played it like, all right, well, we lost game 1, but it's all going to fall into place for us in game 2 and beyond.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think the Dodgers are such a good regular season team, and they have been for so long, right? I think they're a team that they've got the marathon thing figured out, right? Yeah. The Dodgers are gonna, you can pretty much mark it down every year. You can put it in pen before the season even starts. The Dodgers are going to win 100 games or close to it basically every single season. But that mindset that allows you to win 100 games is not the same mindset that allows you to succeed in the postseason.
Correct.
And, Dave Roberts took responsibility for that after the series was over. And I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily want to place blame on the Dodgers for coming out and taking the D-backs for granted or not being well prepared, not doing their homework. I don't know if we really have evidence that happened, but we do have evidence that the Dodgers just are really struggling in these high leverage moments that really matter, right? It's a sprint in the playoffs. It's not a marathon, and they just haven't figured it out yet for whatever reason.
Is this the year that Dave Roberts finally gets blamed for that? Because he feels like the common thread there when it comes to this lack of success that the Dodgers are able to have in the postseason.
I mean, Lance Lynn isn't good, man. Like
there
were some people in the press box commenting like this is the year that Dave Roberts is actually going to pay the price for this. And I'm just looking out there watching Lance Lynn pitch, and I'm like, I just don't know. I mean, the Dodgers needed starting pitching help at the trade deadline, and their solution was a guy with a 6.5 ERA.
Exactly.
And you're going to put the blame for that on the manager. I mean, this is just a roster that was decimated with injuries. This is not the same team that got the Dodgers to this point.
Yeah.
So,
and not just injuries. Like I said, again, losing Julio Urias is a huge thing for them, right? So, but I mean, again,
it's fair. I think it's fair, like that, saying, like, hey, is this the year that they go in a different direction? But to your point, Jesse, I think Dave Roberts is the National League Manager of the Year. Look at this
for
roster,
what he was able to do through all of those injuries and shortcomings that the roster ended up having.
Yeah. I think it's almost like a slam dunk. Like, oh, this is probably his finest work. I mean, going into the season, the roster is already flawed, but you go, they'll be fine. It's the Dodgers. Noah Syndergaard watch, he's going to go out and get some Cy Young Award votes like Tyler Anderson did the year prior. And that isn't what happened at all. And he's still able to navigate that team. I'm kind of wondering if these higher seeded teams, the number 1 and 2 seed teams, how they haven't been playing well. I'm wondering if this new format is forcing them to play harder, deeper into the year because, hey, you want that first round bye. You want to rest and recover. So go out there and keep winning ball games in the middle and late in parts of September. And then, that has an impact when you get to the postseason. And so,
I mean, the Dodgers were pretty well insulated from their competition, though. At least, I mean, I guess them versus the Braves,
right?
Like they were maybe in the running for that up until like the last week or so of the season, but I don't know, like were the Brewers going to catch the Dodgers and get the first round bye? Probably not.
No. Our favorite Algerian fan, Jagurtha, is here. Jagurtha said, I'm no longer scared. The D-backs proved that they can beat every team of the MLB. Go D-backs. Love that attitude. One thing to say in regards to giving the Dodgers credit from last night is that things would have been different potentially at the ending of that game at Dodger Stadium because Chris Taylor's home run, or not home run, his deep
it wasn't a home run,
would have been a home run in a lot of ballparks around baseball.
That could be said for a lot of fly balls. I feel like this has really been magnified in like the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I love
especially that Astros series that we finished the year with. The center field at Chase Field. Like, let's be honest here.
Absurd.
It's kind of dumb. Like
stupid.
It is. I mean, there's a meme going around, right? I'm sure everyone's seen it. Like Chase Field laughs at your 440-foot home run to straightaway center field. You can literally hit a ball 440 feet to straightaway center,
and it won't go out of the ballpark.
It will not be a home run. I think Chris Taylor's shot yesterday was like 408.
Yeah,
something like that.
It would have dinged in 22 of 30 major league ballparks,
and there was a runner on base.
Dodger Stadium.
It would have tied the game. Yeah. It would have tied the game,
but it didn't.
And there was another fly ball. Who hit the ball that Gurriel? Was it Will Smith?
Yeah,
he hit a double.
Yeah.
And it was right in that little notch. And it was 28 out of 30.
Yeah.
It's only Chase Field, and then obviously we're at Camden Yards where they've got that big notch out in left field.
Well, you can't help but feel like everything was going the Diamondbacks' way, not only last night but in this series. Right? They won 2 close games. They had that absolute beatdown of the Dodgers in game 1, and just everything about this felt like those little things, like we've talked at times where the Diamondbacks were on the other side of that, where everything felt like it was not going their ways. So now to see in a big series like this, in a playoff series, the ball bouncing the Diamondbacks away, it was nice, right?
But the ball didn't bounce the Diamondbacks way in this series necessarily. The ball was in the seats. Like the Diamondbacks hit 9 home runs in the series. The Dodgers hit 1. The Diamondbacks outscored.
The ball was bouncing off the backs of seats in the left and right field bleachers.
The Diamondbacks outscored the Dodgers 19-6. I think it was in the series.
Maybe.
I mean, I actually look back at the numbers. I think you guys actually underestimated. So I ran the numbers this morning. I'm pretty sure the Dodgers starting pitching ERA was 25.07. I think we made a clerical error in there. I don't think it was 20.6. So like the
he couldn't help himself, could he, Derek?
He couldn't.
Who's the secretary of PHNX? And we know who the mayor is.
Actually, it was 20.7.
Yeah, we know. Derek has someone else doing these calculations for him.
It's our social media admin. That's who I have do that stuff. He's not very good with math, but
statistical intern.
Yeah, but yeah, look, you're right though. They put it to him in this series, and I don't mean to say that. I just mean like the 2 games, 4-2 games. Both of those games felt like at times the Dodgers had a comeback kind of on a roll.
Could have gone a different way.
Right. And I mean, obviously it could have gone a different way if the Diamondbacks weren't able to go up, first, because who knows how that would have impacted them. It really felt like putting up the runs early was important. It really felt like at times the Dodgers were kind of, if this was a race, they were catching up. But they never caught up and came parallel. Yeah. And even when they would get close, the Diamondbacks would somehow get some sort of boost and just and create that distance, right? That third inning yesterday was just one of the most electric things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to go to our guy that gives us the greatest quotes right now from the Arizona Diamondbacks clubhouse. We're going to go to our guy, Tio Mackey, getting us a quote from Tommy Pham. here is his reaction to the 4 home runs. And I'm going to go ahead and read this quote. He said, Domo got one, and I was like, hell yeah. Marte crushed one, and I was like, hell yeah. Seawalk blasted one, and I'm like, damn. Then Moreno hit the foul ball, and I'm like, ah, damn. Very next pitch, he blasted one, and I'm like, hell yeah.
We read that last night, and we were cracking up. Like,
Tommy Pham
is the quote.
Tommy Pham is a national treasure, and I want him to never change.
When Patrick read it to me, I didn't believe that was real. Like Patrick's a pretty funny guy, and I was convinced that he was pulling my leg in this moment, and then he showed.
That's how good it was. Like it was 10 out of 10. When I talked to him, he had the same like good vibes.
Yeah, and
talking about the roster, he was like, we got dogs.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh wow. Tommy Pham was just like full of quotes last night.
But see, you know what? I will say something about someone like Tommy Pham is there is a certain amount of nastiness, and I get that might not even be the word, just toughness, like just having an attitude, having a chip on your shoulder that honestly, we've been around this Diamondbacks team. They're a nice bunch of guys. They really are. They're sweet. They're wholesome. They're nice.
Very wholesome.
And they need somebody like Tommy Pham on the top step of the dugout calling them a bitch. They need someone like Tommy Pham absolutely riding them in the clubhouse and giving them the business. And, because I've heard already about that Tommy Pham likes to tell his, apparently likes to tell his teammates that they ain't shit. And like, that is such a funny character building thing. That's such a thing that like, I don't know. It just feels like the way Tommy Pham brings that edge to this team that has been so important during a postseason playoff run. It makes you feel confident. It makes you feel like you can do anything because he's the kind of guy that'll look you as a teammate in the face and tell you that there's nothing that we can't accomplish. He's going to say it way more colorfully than that, but he's going to throw something at you that's going to inspire you. He just seems like that kind of guy that just always can get his teammates like fired up in a different way, like going out there and be like, let's go. That's one thing.
In the right environment, that's perfect. And I think that was an ingredient that the Diamondbacks need. And I think Pham needs the Diamondbacks because he's very comfortable in that club. Like he just seems like, from some of the things that I've heard in various interactions, and again, Tommy Pham has a certain track record, but he looks very comfortable. Like, this is now my family. Like, I feel really comfortable here, and so he's the cool ass uncle. Mix. It's a perfect mix.
But they made a lot of history tonight or last night. I know someone asked about it. There was any word on Gabby Moreno? JBLC 88 asked. So far, so good. They said that the X-rays came back negative last night. They said it was a right hand contusion. Obviously, we know how much Gabby Moreno means to this team, Jesse. Any scare with Corbin or Gabby right now still has that like, oh, it's over for us kind of feeling.
And it's always those two guys.
It's always those two
like,
guys.
No one else on this team gets hurt except for I know there are exceptions, but I said it on our post game show last night. Like there have been a lot of injury scares this year for Corbin Carroll and for Gabby Moreno. Right, there was a moment in spring training where Gabby Moreno took a pitch on the hand or the wrist, something in that area, and it was concerning. I remember Torey Lovello being concerned about it in the moment. It wasn't an immediate, oh, it's a contusion, x-rays negative, everything's okay. There was some concern with that situation. And of course, Carson Kelly wound up going down before the season started as well. It would have been a potentially disastrous situation for the Diamondbacks. But he wound up healthy then, and there have been a couple scares during the season. The concussion, what appeared to be a concussion in Milwaukee, that situation wound up turning out okay. And of course, Corbin Carroll has had a number of injury scares as well. So Diamondbacks have had some good injury luck this season, and that has certainly helped them get to the point that they're at right now.
Hey, props to Jose Herrera for stepping in, both in Milwaukee. As well as last night.
After the backswing incident.
And again,
with Gabby.
When you're the backup catcher, you can be somewhat of a caddy, but like, okay, he has that value, so he shouldn't get overlooked for his contributions. In Milwaukee as well as last night.
We also got to see Pavin Smith get a pinch hit opportunity in a huge playoff game, and he walked.
He walked, which is exactly
what
is so nobody
on brand, right?
It's like Pavin Smith result.
It's amazing. But per Sarah Langs, Gabriel Moreno now is the first catcher with 3+ home runs in a single postseason at age 23 or younger. So he has created MLB history. And this team is doing things, obviously, that is just incredible. Again, Persera, Geraldo Perdomo, Corbin Carroll, Gabriel Moreno, and Alec Thomas. The D-backs are the third team in postseason history with 4 players aged 23 or younger with a home run in a single postseason. They joined the 2020 Atlanta Braves and the 2015 Chicago Cubs, 2 teams that you very much are okay with being compared to. But
and they both won the World Series the next year.
Yeah, the next year, correct.
Wow.
That's honestly, I mean, that's one thing that you could be tremendously excited about is
break the trend.
Future.
Do it this year.
Yeah, break the trend. But it's like it is. It's like we keep talking about. I feel, at least me, about what this postseason run means for this team that is here ahead of schedule. What this means for this young team, these young guys that are doing it, and you get these numbers a lot. The whole 23 years or younger, and it's Corbin and it's Alec and it's all these guys doing it. You also have Ketel, who now with his 2 hits through 7 innings, Ketel was the D-backs all-time leader in postseason hits among second basemen, passing Craig Counsell. So there's a guy that you're okay with passing.
This is Ketel's 30th birthday, by the way.
Today. Happy birthday, Ketel.
He's been around forever. He's another guy that has that little bit of swagger.
Yeah.
Like,
little bit.
Obviously.
Little bit.
It wasn't as much of a bat flip.
He has 112% fucking swagger.
His bat flip, kind of underrated. Had more revolutions. We got to get some kind of graphic.
Yeah, we're gonna do some scientific breakdowns on the bat flip.
The bat flip, how far it was from home, how many revolutions, all of that. But just, I love that. I thought that was an iconic home run. Standing there with the wide leg, split leg stance there after the home run. He almost wanted to cross his arms like Randy Rosarena. Tommy Pham loved that one. He's like, that's the one that he remembers because he was on deck. But Marte, man, he's been great this postseason. Great.
Is it a 9-game postseason hitting streak now for him, or is it did increase it to 10?
That I don't know.
He extended his postseason.
He was one of few players back in 2017 who really showed up for the Diamondbacks in that postseason. Even in that Dodgers series, the D-backs, when the D-backs got swept in the NLDS that year, Ketel Marte was really solid in that series, and I think that was a really big series for him as he kind of emerged into being more than just like a nice little player up the middle.
You're right.
The two triples in the wild card game was kind of his coming out party.
And
he was there.
It is a 9-game hitting streak, and it is actually a franchise record for the postseason.
His batting average in the postseason, obviously just 17, and this year 359 batting average, OPS 1093, 1.093. Like Ketel Marte, he's a dog in October.
He absolutely is.
Arf arf.
Arf arf. We're without Damon Dog today. We got Fodge here though, so of course it's not the people's producer, it's the overlord. It's the overlord here. But we appreciate you guys being here. Of course, if you have not subscribed to our channel here yet, make sure to do so. Sign up for notifications, that way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows on this network go live. Leave us a little thumbs up. That's our attaboys, and we don't get mad about attaboys. You can give us one. We're not gonna hit home runs against you and stare you down. Drop that like though, as Gabby says there.
That is funny. We've always used that expression for dropping YouTube likes. That's taken on a whole new meaning in the last 48 hours.
It really does. It really has. Of course, the Diamondbacks are a wagon, so you want to get the shirt of the unofficial shirt of the Arizona Diamondbacks playoff run, and get that wagon shirt. For all wagon and snake aficionados, you can get that and support this team that is absolutely rolling over the competition in the playoffs. Also, great way to celebrate is with our friends at Wink. That's W-Y-N-K. It is a seltzer drink with a wink of THC. And how high will it get you? Again, just a wink. So make sure to check them out. It's the perfect balance for any time. Fall is a great time to be social. A lot of parties around Halloween time, a lot of get-togethers, and a great way to do so is with a balanced, light, and social drink. It has 0 calories, 0 sugar, 0 alcohol. So, of course, it just has that little wink of THC with a CBD balance that helps you get the exact golden ratio of enjoyment out of your THC drink. So it also tastes like your favorite refreshing flavored seltzer, and it is available now in either a 2.5 or 5 milligram can. You can find Wink right here in Arizona. Look for Wink at all Sunday Good dispensaries in the Valley and Botanica dispensaries in Tucson. You can also save money online by going to drinkwink.com. That's W-Y-N-K, and use promo code PHNX for 20% off your order. People were pointing out that once again, I took Lance Lynn in my BetMGM bet before yesterday's pregame for 2 strikeouts, and he did not get me those 2 strikeouts. Am I okay with that?
For 2 homers, Derek. My gosh.
I've taken the minimum on Dodgers pitchers in this series, and they have caused me to lose every single one of my bets. And I have said this I'm okay with that. If all it costs me is $5 to get the Arizona Diamondbacks to beat the Dodgers in the postseason, happily take. You just auto deduct it out of my account. We don't have to go through this process of me voluntarily giving it to you. We can just set up that. But of course, it's been fun to have this run, and it's been made more fun by the BetMGM app. Of course, if you haven't had a chance to get down on it, place your first BetMGM sportsbook wager through the mobile application of at least $10, and you will get $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. All you got to do as a new customer is sign up with our code PHNX. You can do that on iOS or Android or at their website at betmgm.com. Deposit at least $10 upon your sign up into your newly created account and place a wager in that amount of at least $10 at a standard odds price. Once you've placed a qualifying bet, you will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of your bet outcome. There's all sorts of wonderful bonus bets. There's a lot of same game parlay insurance. So again, if you want to make these crazy bets on the Diamondbacks during the playoffs, make sure to opt into those insurance opportunities. That way, if your bet doesn't hit, you will get that money back. One tip, though, make sure to keep an eye on the details, because sometimes it does have a minimum dollar amount. So should your bet be over that, then that disqualifies you from some of those insurance tokens and opportunities. So just make sure to check out the terms over at BetMGM. And of course, sign up again for BetMGM using our bonus code of PHNX. You can place your first bet wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application of at least $10. You will receive $200 instantly in additional winnings, regardless of your wager's outcome. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to our guy Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., New York, or Ontario.
Olives are disgusting. I'll say it because it's going on in the chat right now.
You're just
Olives
so wrong.
Team Olive, what's up?
Elizabeth, I am 100% with you. No,
Olives are terrible.
They're terrible.
Kalamata olives?
All forms of olives.
Delicious.
Every single type of olive.
There are not many pizza toppings that I will actually go out of my way to remove, but olives are one of them.
I've never felt closer to Jesse than I do in this
I've ordered
moment right
pizza
now.
with just olives on it.
You are a
I will go olive.
You're
Thin
an
crust.
absolute sociopath.
You've ordered pizza with just olives?
Thin crust
Okay, well,
olives.
I mean, I'll eat olives by themselves, but that's a bit psychotic.
It's
That's a bit psychotic.
You know what, Faj?
That's
Not
sociopath
cool, dude.
behavior.
I thought we had something. Not cool. Wow, I open up like this. I'm not coming back.
See, Nicholas says olive oil, though, the only proper use of olives. There he goes. I'm with him
All
on
right,
that.
that's fair.
There, we
I'll
can all
give
agree
you
on olive
that.
oil.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
But something I don't know if we can all agree on is who we want to see the Arizona Diamondbacks take on next in the NLCS, because they are two juggernauts over there duking it out right now, literally duking it out. They're getting in fights over things they're saying in each other. They got a real rivalry going on. And of course, who do we want to see? The Braves or the Phillies? I mean,
all of us agree? Can all of us agree?
Oh my
just
gosh.
get out. Just
Oh
get
my
out. We've
gosh.
already proved that Jesse Jr. can take over in that seat. So first, and you have to give me a ski on the way out. But let's talk about this, because obviously we have the Atlanta Braves, who at this point we know we're the best team in baseball record-wise. They were the best team in baseball as far as performance goes in a lot of categories. But their pitching this year was not what it has been in the past, because I know that's been a strength of theirs as well over the last few seasons, and with injuries and some other just kind of regression that they had, the Braves pitching wasn't the superior pitching staff it's been.
Yeah, not really. And here in the postseason, it hasn't been great for them. You know, obviously they're down 2-1 in the NLDS to the Philadelphia Phillies right now, and a big part of that has been Spencer Strider is great on his game, doing his thing. Max Fried has been dealing with a blister issue, I believe.
Yep.
He did not look good in his one start that he's made in the playoffs. And Bryce Elder had a really brutal second half of the season after being an all-star, and he really got hammered in his start as well. So the Braves kind of have one starting pitcher right now that I think they can really rely on, whereas the Diamondbacks have two. And ultimately, I think that's what this comes down to for me is, would you rather face Spencer Strider and you know the rest of those Braves starting pitchers, or would you rather face, you know, Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola? And, you know, I think the Phillies have a better bullpen as well. For me, I think, as crazy as it is to say, the team that won 104 games, the team that had the best record in the regular season of any team in baseball, the team that had basically the best offense in Major League history, you could argue. They slugged over 500 as a team in the regular season,
it's crazy.
which still blows my mind.
It's crazy.
But a lot of what it comes down to in the postseason is who's hot at the right time. And I think the Braves have, like, granted it's been 3 games, but I think the Braves have like a 550 OPS so far in those 3 games that they played against the Phillies. They're not really hitting right now. And both of these offenses are really dynamic, but if you can catch the Braves at a time where the offense isn't really clicking, I guess if they were to come back and win these next 2 games, maybe it would be at that point. But from what we've seen so far, the offense has not been anything like what it's been in the regular season.
Charlie Morton, the loss of him obviously was, I think, hurt Atlanta, so they might get him back in the league championship series. But does he move the needle all that much? You know, I think part of the element of this too is you talk about catching teams at the right time. Time is of the essence. We're talking about the potential, downside of this layoff for the Diamondbacks. Well, if Philadelphia can win tonight, then both teams basically they have got the same downtime. Like Diamondbacks have 1 extra day.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I think, levels the playing field. So in that way, you go, all right, if you want to cherry pick Atlanta, okay, maybe they're not as good, but they're going to be a little bit hotter. They're going to have a little bit more momentum because they're going to have one at home in Atlanta, and they're going to start there as well. Whereas if you have Philadelphia, sure, you're going to probably get Nola and Wheeler 4 times in that series in Philadelphia, which I think has been a little bit more hostile than Atlanta. And the Phillies have a great record at Citizens Bank Ballpark in the postseason since that building was erected. But both teams have the same layoff, and I think that might level the playing field all the more for Arizona.
Well, let's take a look at the Atlanta Braves numbers from this season because, again, they were very, very good. Number 1 in run differential at plus 231. They had that 104-win season. Came into, even though they were kind of coasting there at the end, they still finished 7-3 in their final 10 games of the regular season. But this is where we were talking about the starting pitching ERA and relief pitching ERA just kind of being middle of the pack, right? I mean, there's the 11, their bullpen ERA a little bit above average, starting pitching ERA just slightly below. But it's that 845 OPS. And I mean, we talked about the Phillies being an offensive, a potent offensive team, but this Braves team really was the best offense in baseball this season.
Yeah.
Now, they might be taking a little while to get things going against the Phillies, but maybe once, if this series does go 5, maybe once they're there, they got things rolling, and that's not the greatest. You don't want this team that was able to perform this well during the regular season to get hot and right before they face the Diamondbacks.
Pitching wins in the postseason.
It really does.
So if Atlanta doesn't necessarily
I feel like that's been sort of a debate on this show the last couple weeks.
Well, historically, that is it. Like good.
But I think
good pitching beats good hitting.
Historically, we've also seen research where good offense like correlates with better postseason performance than good pitching does.
Yeah, because
statistically
we were talking about it with the Brewers. Yeah, because this was the debate with the Brewers or the Phillies, like which one you wanted to see, right?
Yeah,
and obviously losing, one of their 3 guys in Brandon Woodruff drastically changed that 3-game series. But the Diamondbacks still had to face in the 2 games Freddie Peralta and Corbin Burns, and those are still part of that. Yeah, they're still very tough pitchers. Those are the guys. I mean, it would have probably been Brandon Woodruff instead of Freddie Peralta, but the results could have been the same. My thing was the Diamondbacks' offense was not very good closing out the season, and you were mixing that with going up against potentially the best 3-man rotation in baseball. Somehow the Diamondbacks woke up, got on a roll, and have just stayed hot offensively so far this postseason the whole entire time. But the same could be said about the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, Brave starters against D-backs this year, pretty decent success. I mean, Spencer Strider in his first start in June, 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 walks, 7 Ks. In July, he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 4 earned runs, 1 walk, but 13 Ks against the Diamondbacks on that one. So Spencer Strider just continues to be very good against this team.
I think, wasn't that the day that Gallen and Strider had like dueling no-hitters or something?
I think
for like 5 or 6 innings?
Yeah, I believe
and then all of a sudden, I think the D-backs got Strider for like a couple home runs late.
And that's also the day where it felt like that was during the dark times, where it literally felt like Zach Gallen could go out there and literally pitch a no-hitter almost, and somehow things still wouldn't go their way. But we haven't seen Max Fried this year, but he did throw 7 consecutive innings last year against the Diamondbacks on July 31st. 7 scoreless innings. And of course, Elder on July 18th went 2 2/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 7 runs, 5 earned, 1 walk, 4 Ks. So, you know, I mean, the Diamondbacks, again, you can look at these past performances. I don't even know if this is the same Diamondbacks team anymore that it was in July and in June. But again, they've had success at times against the Braves starters. But Philadelphia, they've been very good against the Diamondbacks, and I still remember that series that we played against them. That it like we were riding on a high at the time. This was when the wagon was strong and new and rolling, and the Phillies absolutely smacked the Diamondbacks back down to earth at the time. But let's take a look at their numbers from this regular season, because again, they're also a very dangerous team. These NL East teams, man, I mean, they had the Diamondbacks number this year, 90-72 for their record, plus 81 run differential. They came into the final 10 games 7-3. Starting pitching ERA, again, middle of the pack, 4.30, literally league average. Relief pitching, 3.58, the 7th best in Major League Baseball.
A good bullpen.
Good bullpen. Good OPS, 765. So another good, very, very good offensive team, 6th in baseball. But offensive run saved, -30, 26th in baseball. You love to see it. You love to see it because you love to see sloppy play. And you know that the Diamondbacks are just a very, very good defensive team. So when it comes to making mistakes in the postseason and potentially matching up with the Phillies, the Diamondbacks could have an advantage there when it comes to just how good this team has been on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, I think the D-backs played both teams pretty tough in the regular season. Overall,
didn't they win both season series?
So the D-backs were 3-4 against the Phillies. They were 3-3 against the Braves. And that 3-3 against the Braves is almost a little deceiving because 2 of those games were blown right at the very end. The D-backs were very close to being 5-1 against the Braves this season, theoretically. I believe one of those games they lost 8-5. That was the season finale of that first series back in June. We've talked about this game a decent amount. That's when Miguel Castro gave up a grand slam to, I think it was Eddie Rosario, if I'm not mistaken. So that turned a potential 5-4 win into an 8-5 loss. That's how that game ended. D-backs had a chance to win that series. And then in Atlanta, when the D-backs got the Braves the second time, they almost swept the series. They were very close to sweeping that series. And that was another game where I believe Miguel Castro had some rough things happen late in that one. The Braves scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th of that series finale and ultimately won that game 7-5. So, and this is something that Zach Gallen said yesterday when I asked about, you know, the Braves and the Phillies, how you feeling about these teams? He said we played those teams tough. Like we can hang with those teams.
I agree.
I think the D-backs proved that against the Braves. They also, you know, even though the D-backs went 3-4 in the regular season against the Phillies, there was another kind of a heartbreaker in there. I believe we were doing, I don't remember if we were doing a watch along for that game.
But that was JT Real Muto game.
This was the Trey Turner game.
Oh, the Trey Turner. Yeah, we label all the Philly games, by the way.
This was the infant. Oh yeah.
Wasn't it you, Jesse, that said Trey Turner's been so bad this year?
No, it was one Sean DePaz.
It was Sean DePaz.
Who moments before Trey Turner hit a game-tying 2-run home run, he made a comment that, maybe he shouldn't have. And the Phillies came back and won that game in extra innings. So that, you know, if the D-backs are able to pull that game out, then that flips to 4-3 in the regular season. Granted, the D-backs haven't played the Phillies since May, I think.
That's true.
It's been a long time.
That's true.
And the Phillies were not in a good place at that time. So, yeah, the D-backs hung with both of these teams in the regular season.
None of this matters, I don't think. None of this regular season stuff matters at all because all of these teams are different now.
That's a fair
honestly,
point. I agree.
Like the Braves, for instance, their depth doesn't really come into play nearly as much right now. Like maybe it would if they had injuries, and they do, right? So they still have good players that they can go out there and put a competitive team on the field, even though they are missing key members of their lineup and of their starting rotation. But again, the Diamondbacks, the Diamondbacks might quite possibly be the team that is built best for some of these playoff situations. I know they don't have a great option when it comes to a 4th starting pitcher, which they will absolutely need in this series, regardless of who they play.
Interesting.
But at the same time, like, man, I just can't help but feel like I just don't know how much that matters with the fact that we saw the Dodgers pitchers doing what they did, including the legendary Clayton Kershaw, who couldn't get more than 1 out in his outing, right? So it's like, it almost feels like if we could get a bullpen game where anybody goes out there and gives them 2 innings of 1-run baseball that you're like, that's a win at this point, especially considering that this team right now is trying to patch it together as far as that, starting rotation, and they're trying to do some creative things. Torrey's definitely managing this team in a way that, like we discussed last night, we've never seen him manage before. However, it does seem to be very effective in the playoffs. I did want to answer Cog's question because he asked a little while ago, the minus 30 defensive runs saved by the Phillies. He wanted to know how much of that is Trey Turner. Negative 12 of those defensive runs saved are Trey Turner's.
Wow.
Negative 12 defensive runs saved this season for Trey Turner.
Not great.
One of the worst in baseball. In fact, there's only a handful of players that had worse seasons defensively, including Jose Altuve, who had a minus 13 defensive run saving.
Jurickson Profar was really bad in left field for the Rockies.
You can't blame Jose. He just can't get to the baseball.
Well, the real one is Kyle Schwarber. He's minus 21.
Yeah.
So Kyle Schwarber is
that's what blows my mind.
Actual guy.
Because I think Schwarber's minus 21, Trey Turner's minus 12.
Yeah.
As a team, they were minus 30.
Yeah.
And those two guys combined for minus 33. So it's like all the negative value, I guess, comes from those guys.
It might be skewed.
It might be skewed a little bit.
I think the reliever numbers, too, for the Phillies are, in a sense, skewed going into the series only because Phillies bullpen had the 30th most innings in baseball. So like they're rested. Like they're in a really good spot there. They're in a really good shape. Yeah. And the D-backs bullpen is really strong right now, but as much rest as you can give them as possible is going to be great. So a bullpen game, not ideal. Maybe, Bryce Jarvis and Ryan Nelson can combine to give you 4 innings if they go back to back. Brandon Pfaadt's value or his performance in more than likely game 3, I think, is going to be
You might not be pulling him at 42 pitches.
You might not. You might not be pulling him at that point. Especially if he's only given up 2 hits and no runs. Like, I get it. You're trying to build still on his confidence, though, and I feel like not only is this a matter of that, but it might, like we discussed, it might also be the fact that Torrey is trying to play the long game here. We know he's very good when it comes to trying to save guys' energy and trying to make sure that they are ready to play. Even when this team was very bad in seasons, he was still managing guys' time off. Like there was a possibility that they could make the postseason and they would need these guys. Like he does not change from doing that. And I think that might be a lot of what we're seeing here because of what the bullpen allows him to do. He has that much confidence in the bullpen that he feels that he has the freedom to kind of, pull someone like Brandon Pfaadt earlier. And I'm honestly, even Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, like no matter how good those guys are, it feels like he doesn't shy away from pulling them the minute they get in any kind of trouble, so that not only can he preserve them, but also preserve, I think, their confidence a bit, because they need to remain, they need to remain in a position where they think that they are absolute killers and that they're going to get this done every single night. It's easy to get your confidence shaken by, a good outing all of a sudden turning on you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think the way that Torrey is managed is maybe a little controversial. Obviously, it's worked, which I guess makes it less controversial.
It does.
People are probably pretty on board given the results.
Always make your decisions.
Given the results
winning
so
cures
far.
Everything.
Yeah.
But I think that is a really good point, that in managing the way that Torrey has, he hasn't really allowed anyone to have this terrible moment, right? Like Ryan Nelson, things were really blowing up for him there in, I believe that was game 1 against the Brewers. He gave up like 3 consecutive hits to start an inning, and boom, Torrey's in there and goes to get him. And that situation didn't escalate as a result of that. Yeah. And you go up and down the D-backs roster. I'm not sure there's any one player that you could point to who has had, some kind of big moment where things really, backed up on them. And, you feel like that might be a reason why this team is as confident as it is right now.
And it's completely different from the way he managed during the regular season, right? Because his philosophy at times was the opposite. This philosophy at the time, we would have us as fans screaming, why aren't you going to take this guy out of the game when Torrey's leaving a reliever in, or perhaps even a starter? And you can just tell that there is an amount of like trying to work on stuff. Like the regular season, even though those games matter, are also times for guys to continue their development, even when they're major league ball players. And a lot of guys on this team are still very young. So even if they have been in in the majors for a few years, there's still development. There's still Brent Strom trying to coach you up. They're still trying to get you to believe in yourself. And in some cases, that's the difference. That could be what makes someone like Ryan Thompson be able to do what he's done for this team, when obviously he wasn't viewed at one point as an important enough piece of the Rays, organization for them to keep him on. You know, it seems crazy what he's given the Diamondbacks for any team to have parted ways with him.
Yeah.
If the Diamondbacks would have acquired him through some sort of trade, we would be saying that, like how great that trade was, as good as the Sewald trade, right? Because we love Paul Sewald. We jump around for Paul Sewald, and Paul Sewald.
Apparently, you guys do jump around.
We do. Do we have Paul Sewald's tweet, by the way? Because this is what makes me love Paul Sewald even more. Just him doing a cannonball with David greater than Goliath. Just beautiful. I have never seen a player adapt. Maybe Tommy Pham too. I've just never seen guys come to a team and become such a part of the team as I've seen with Pham and Sewald. But it's just been incredible. And of course, you know, those guys, big reason why the Diamondbacks are sitting here in this position right now.
Yeah, Paul Sewald was he was feeling good last night too, knowing that, you know, this time last year he was, you know, coughing up games for the Mariners, you know, in that Blue Jay series. So that was like such a big turnaround for him to do that. And what was the quote last night, Jesse, where he was just like, yeah, I wasn't even sure myself that this was going to happen. Last night was a close game. They got the 4 home runs and you go, they're destined to win. It was a close game where anything could have happened at the end, and even Sewald wasn't sure what was going to happen.
His quotes sounded like he was like a pessimistic fan, like someone in this office or something. He literally said, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, I didn't feel good about this game until the very last pitch. I was not convinced we were going to win this game. I didn't feel like we were going to win this game until the game was over. Right?
It took us a long time to get on air yesterday because we were so like engaged and locked in that we forgot we had work to do. We were watching just like all of you guys were, and we had no idea what was going to happen. We got PHLY in the chat. Welcome, you guys, by the way. Hope to see you guys soon as well.
Hey. I was in their chat with the PHNX Sports account.
Okay.
One of the first games that they played in the playoffs. I said, hopefully we'll see you guys soon. And the host said, we hope so too. You'll make our path easier.
Oh, wow. It's on.
Renee and Jamie, come on.
Yeah, who said it? Renee or Jamie?
Be better than that.
I think it was Jamie.
Oh, I'm telling Damon. Damon's going to be furious when he comes back.
They've been in the All-City network for what, like 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And they're already making these kinds of comments.
Down over there.
Know your role. Know your role, PHLY.
That's right. Well, either way, can't wait to see who the Diamondbacks take on here next. Also, speaking, I think after last night's show, we might need to have a swear jar on the stage somewhere on the set. That might be just for me. I don't know. I know you guys can control yourselves, but
was
it might be just for me.
Yesterday's show really an hour and 40 minutes long?
It may have been.
Wow.
But I mean, you're kind of responsible for that. We were waiting for you, so I mean,
that's fair.
You joined us at like the hour 15 mark. I thought you were going to say
you're responsible for that because you just wouldn't stop talking. When
that
you came
also
on the
was
show.
true.
Maybe that
25 minutes.
I needed to let you get it in. I needed to let you get it in. So I completely understand. But again, we thank you guys, of course, for being here. If you haven't checked out our friends at Shady Rays, we highly recommend it. Whether you are new to the Valley, new to our podcast, new to being a Diamondbacks fan, the future is very bright for this team. So you absolutely need a good pair of sunglasses in order to continue to watch them. And if you live in Arizona, it's mandatory that you have yourself a good pair of sunglasses. So make sure to check out Shady Rays. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics that are good for outdoor adventures or driving around town here with the sun in your face. They also offer the most insane protection plan in all of eyewear. Their lost and broken replacement plan. They tell us, allegedly, and it happened for me because I lost mine and they sent me a new pair of sunglasses, that if you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they will send you out a brand new pair, no questions asked, no judgment. They won't shame you, none of that. They'll just send you out new sunglasses. They have your back long after you purchase. You can shop their entire collection here in town at their Kierland Commons location. It's a full stop shop for all things Shady Rays. And of course, if you do not love your Shady Rays, you can exchange them or return them for free for your money back within 30 days. No risk at all when you shop. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Well, I celebrated last night here on set, and then I celebrated at home more with my friends from OG's Brands because, of course, OG's is the gummy of choice for the postseason. I didn't say official because, again, we know that's not. I can't throw that around. Damon told me that, but I can say it's the unofficial gummy of the postseason because whether you're overcoming losses or celebrating victories, there's no better way to celebrate than OG's Brands. They have their fruit and cream mix bags that are available now, of course, with a variety of flavors in both of those bags. You can get red apple, watermelon, peach in the fruits. You can get any kind of cream, blackberries and cream, orange cream, peaches and cream, all of that in the creams bag as well. So make sure to check those out. They are available in a sunny sativa or a mellow indica blend, and they do allow you to customize your OG's experience. So if you're just too excited like me at 2:30 in the morning, get their sleep edition gummy. It'll help you get to bed. You might be a little tired in the morning, but it'll put you to bed in no time. So, of course, check out our friends at OG's Brands for yourself and try one or a few of their many delicious flavors. You can check them out across all socials at OG's Brands and online at ogsbrands.com. And that's OGEEZ Brands. To find them at your local dispensary near you, you must be 21 or over to enjoy, and please enjoy responsibly.
So what you're saying is after a big W, catch a couple big Z's with OGs.
I love it.
There you go.
This is
TM.
I don't like you coming in here and being better at this than me.
No,
like it really, you just show me up, and I feel bad about myself, and I'm like, I'm not as funny as Patrick.
You're doing all the work in the match, and then you just tag me, and I'm just getting
you're the hot tag. Yeah,
it's the hot tag.
He's the hot tag. That's his nickname from now on. But
I'm a little concerned about Jay here. Can we go up to Jay's comment?
What happened with Jay?
Apparently, Jay has now listened to yesterday's show 3 times, which in my estimation is 5 hours of audio. If I'm not mistaken.
Go, Jay. Jay's our #1 fan. I love that guy. Let's go.
The show was an hour and 40 minutes long.
Yeah, it's 5. If you listen to it 3 times,
sometimes you watch a good movie multiple times. What the hell? We have time
in a 24-hour
3 times in the same night?
Yes.
Because sometimes you just can't get enough of me and
we
Michaela
love you, Jay.
You think you're a
listening
diehard if
to
you
our
listen
stuff.
to the show?
Yeah.
You're only a diehard if you listen to it multiple
That's right.
times.
He's right. He's not wrong. By the way, speaking of that, I found Tori last night confessing that the F word is his favorite word when he said
He did say that
confess
on the
that?
record.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Same, Tori. Same. Anyway, speaking of the Diamondbacks did not get into any controversies in this series, which was surprising because it was the Dodgers, right? Not to say that they wouldn't have to, but we do know that the Diamondbacks and Dodgers have had kind of a nice relationship. It hasn't really been contentious like these two rivals have been in the past. I really felt like there wasn't even any like shit talking until we got those comments about the Chase Field situation. That felt
we should maybe talk about that at some point.
Yeah, no, I mean,
David Peralta got very heavy booze yesterday.
He did, and I mean, this is a guy that like we said yesterday, and we probably screamed about it more, and we're just kind of more emotional about it. But this was a guy that the Diamondbacks gave a tribute video to, a guy that when he comes to the ballpark wearing Dodger blue, still gets a smattering of applause from the Diamondbacks faithful. And this, turncoat now has the audacity to go on record and talk all of this trash. Honestly, as far as I was concerned, all he did was give the Diamondbacks bulletin board material and gave Diamondbacks fans more of a reason to come out. Because there was guys like our little baby angel, Aaron Hughes, that was absolutely furious, ready to fight someone over it. And I understand, because so was I. I mean, when you read those comments, it's okay for it to come from guys that have never played for this organization. But if it's coming from guys like JD Martinez and it's coming from guys like David Peralta, it hurts. But it hurts more from Peralta. Like that guy was the face of this team at one point, and for him to just be snickering over there about how they were gonna, the Dodgers fans were gonna outclass us, and they were gonna make this into like a home game for them on the road. It did nothing. I think Elise might have said it. Elise said like he's a free agent after this year, so he became a villain for our fan base in a year where he's probably not even gonna stick around with the Dodgers potentially after this season.
Yeah, I mean, David Peralta just didn't have a great season for the Dodgers. I think it was like a 675 OPS or something like that. It's not great for a corner outfielder. But yeah, his exact words, just real quick. David Peralta in an article from the LA Times about how this game could potentially feel like a home game for the Dodgers. Peralta said, "We're going to feel like we're going to play at home." Those were his exact words. He said of his time as a Diamondback, every time the Dodgers would come in there to play against us, it was blue. We got excited because the stadium was packed, but it was all Dodgers fans. Those comments are more matter of fact. But the comment about we're going to feel like we're playing at home, that's something that's obviously going to rub your former faithfuls the wrong way, and it certainly did. I think he got heavier booze than probably any Dodgers hitter in that game yesterday.
And Peralta's been with the organization for a decade. Like he signed, minor league deal in 2013. So you're like, Wow, like he undid it that much. So you almost should have a little bit of a sensitivity to that, and yeah.
Well,
that's fuel. That's fuel, man.
Again, him and JD, they're the only guys that we had a chance to have like emotions about, but they didn't really do anything to cause fans to be upset with them other than the team that they are with, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing. So like that's why I said like the beef between these two teams this year has not only been like almost non-existent, but it's almost been pleasant to the point that it infuriated our producer Damon with how nice these teams have been to. You know, that Mookie Betts interview with Corbin Carroll on Mookie Betts' podcast, Zach Gallen going on the next day. They were delightful.
Mookie Betts interrupting Torey Lovullo's press conference to give him a hug.
Give him a hug, right? This was the sweetest, kindest rivalry between two division teams I've ever seen.
It wasn't a rivalry, frankly.
It definitely wasn't.
And I don't know even after this if it is, right? Does one playoff series turn this into a rivalry? Probably not.
No. I mean, there was a lot of talk though about the Atlanta Braves and Philadelphia Phillies rivalry, and they were saying there was a lot of good examples given in regards to that. We talked to Jimmy Rollins before the NLDS, and Jimmy Rollins, being a former Philly, went on a very descriptive rant about how you start to hate the blue of Atlanta, like that particular blue, not blue in general, that dark blue and red combo. You start to hate Turner Field. You start to hate seeing their fans at your stadium in good seats. You start that's when you know you start to have a rivalry. When you literally, as a player, go up to a former player. You know, like he said, one of his teammates was wearing a Mets uniform, and it disgusted him. And he was supposed to go up and dap him up and be cool. And he was like, I couldn't because he was wearing Mets. And he looked at me like, bro, it's still me. And he was like, nah, man, like that orange and that blue together, nah. And so like those are real rivalries when you as a player, especially in like Rollins' case, played for an organization for so long that you do hate all of those other teams in your division to that extent where you're like, no, I don't want to shake your hand right now because you're in, you know, like that even seems ridiculous and too far. But like he said, that's where you know you have a rivalry. That wasn't the case this year with the Diamondbacks and D-backs.
No.
Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. They very much liked each other. Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman are just wonderful guys that are hard to hate, right? So it's like then you have the fact that they're coming over and giving hugs to our team and everything's cool. Like it's just wild, and it took the vitriol out of this. But meanwhile, things are heating up for the Braves and the Phillies, and things are only getting spicier when it comes to this. We have this Bryce Harper, Orlando Arcia controversy where after Bryce Harper got doubled off first in the Braves Game 2 win, Orlando Arcia mocked him in the clubhouse saying, "Attaboy, Harper," while reporters were in the clubhouse, which has turned into literally a shirt you can buy over at the PHLY locker.
The PHLY is they're marketing this.
Attaboy.
They're getting a lot of juice.
Get on it fast. Of course, then we had in Game 3, Harper stare down Arcia after both of his home runs, which, again, Bryce Harper, he's not the player he once was, but he is not a man that you want to give any kind of fuel to that fire. Like those guys in Philadelphia seem to play on high emotions, and when you give them, again, like this kind of bulletin board material that David Peralta gave the Diamondbacks, you're just asking for it, you know? And I mean, I know we as media at times are kind of responsible, like this case, for kind of making those comments known and then kind of this spreading. So, I mean, I guess, Jesse, from your perspective, are all the players' comments when we're in there filming and writing articles, are they all, you know, free game, or what do you think here?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this. I've talked to some other people in the industry to kind of get their sense of things. As a reporter who's in the clubhouse frequently, I want to make it clear. It's not like we go into the clubhouse and everything we see and hear is immediately like going on the internet. That's not the correct way to do your job as a reporter. At the same time, the way that, and I would really have to be there in order to really have a sense of whether what Arcia said is something that I would have reported or not. But the sense that we are getting from what we've heard is that Arcia was saying this like loudly and like multiple times while reporters were in the room, to the point where he was basically asking for reporters to report this in a sense.
And we've seen this on occasion where after a win, guys are high on emotions and they're coming back and yelling something. You know, maybe in some cases it's just screaming and cheering. Maybe in some cases it's very specific about, you know, an incident or whatever, you know, like I got our guy Chuck Boyer from the D-backs 50-50 yelling about the Gabriel Moreno run when he came past me, just yelling like, that one wasn't foul.
Yeah,
that one
that
would have reminded me of, if that would have happened as the last hit of the game and they would have won on that, I could see players coming back to the clubhouse and yelling, that one wasn't foul, like,
sure.
So like,
but that also like, that's not a shot at a particular play.
Right.
That would be different.
Yeah. But it could be at times. And it depends on how fierce the rivalry is and how much at times you kind of do want to mock that player. Right. So it's like, it like you said, in this instance, it very much came off as like a player high on emotions, but it also came off as definitely like, putting it out there that, attaboy, Harper, attaboy, like that kind of stuff. You're not shying away from it. You're not trying to hide it. It wasn't something that was just meant for some sort of team activity. Cameras are there, reporters are there, and you're yelling it. But it did kind of become controversial because it was covered the way it was.
You have to be careful in the clubhouse if you're a player, especially at times like this where it's not just the local media that's covering. Like, when we're in the clubhouse each and every day, like, you're building up trust. Like, I can remember in the past talking to a player who said and legitimately believed they were a better defender at third base than Nolan Arenado. Now, that wasn't necessarily something that I was going to, gain traction or something like that. And it was like, all right, that's maybe a little clickbaity. So that's something I'll just keep to myself. Like, it doesn't really help anybody to put that piece of information out there. So you're building up this certain level of trust. And then in the postseason, everything kind of is fair game. And again, you've got other people that Diamondbacks, Dodgers, Atlanta, the Phillies, like, they don't know who these people are. Like, they're trying to maybe make a name for themselves. And the rules do slightly change in that. And again, if you're going out there and you're trying to, say something that's a little bit incensed in that way, like Arcia was, what do you expect is going to happen? So it's not that everything is fair game, but this particular thing is definitely fair game.
I think so. I think we as reporters do see a lot that goes on in the clubhouse that, like Jesse said, you're expected not to report on. I mean, we're just sitting there while we're hanging out waiting for media availability while these guys are just talking to each other and text messaging and whatever.
Yeah, there's all kinds of off the record stuff that happens.
All sorts.
But for Orlando Arcia to be like appalled that this got out there,
and his teammates,
is
a lot
a
of
problem.
people.
Yeah, and I know even other guys around the league who aren't his teammates. I think Kevin Gosman, put out a couple of very vocal tweets about this, about how the clubhouse is the player's sanctuary and what happens there should stay there unless like a reporter is talking to you with a microphone and it's very clear what's happening. You just can't, if you're a player and there's reporters in the room, you just can't go out there and say things like this vocally, this loudly, this easily for everyone to hear, especially when there's, a pretty large media contingent in the room.
Right.
The chance that nobody picks that up is basically non-existent, and you have to understand that if you're a player.
And at times it is difficult because at times we have fun moments and stuff. We have off-the-record conversations. Sure. I know that I've had quite a few off-the-record conversations with Zach Gallen. That, I mean, again, Zach Gallen is very specific about like going like, this is off the record, right? Like, so like there's things that, again, we get trusted with being told or conversations we have. A lot of times it's usually not even about that person or individual. Sometimes it's more about like coaching and stuff or whatever, right? But like, for instance, I'll give an example of when we had a funny interaction with Jake McCarthy, where one night, like media does, we were covering the guys that like had the big hit in the game, the starting pitcher, the few guys we were going to talk to. And Jake just kind of came over to the media and made a joke about like, hey guys, want to talk to me? And I had tweeted something out about it and someone told me that was a bad idea. Jesse also told me it was a bad idea because, again, that kind of thing, even though it was a joke, even though it wasn't intended to make Jake look bad in any way or whatever, and I just thought it was a funny instance and Jake was the one that like did something funny, it was intended just for the clubhouse. And that's not like not everything is intended to be put out there for public display. And the problem is sometimes there's a lot of funny stuff that happens in the clubhouse. There's a lot of things like this is kind of a funny thing. So I could see it being less malicious and more just about, hey, it was funny that Arcia came in and yelled this thing, right? And again, this is sports. This is sports. You're going to say things and then that thing's going to turn into a thing and then the other team's going to use it as fuel for them to come back and beat you. There's going to be shirts made about it, everything.
It loses its context a little bit too. Like you said, if you just read the McCarthy text, it's like, oh, what's going on here? And you're like, no, it's a joke. There's
exactly.
There's
a
no
lot of context lost on it when you're not there.
Sarcastic font that doesn't exist.
Absolutely.
I mean, even look at Tory, like dropping F-bombs. Like, everyone's kind of okay with that. And it's like there's similarities and obvious differences between Arcia and Lovello, but there is that thing of like, oh, that shouldn't get out because he's using naughty language or whatever. But
that's pretty acceptable though for like a postseason celebration.
No, it is. No, it absolutely is. But like we saw, right? Like Tory had his post-game speech last night, kind of behind closed doors, and that is because he wanted to be able to speak freely to his players and not have it impacted by us being present, recording his words, putting it out there, all of that stuff.
Even though his words were still posted by Major League
Words
Baseball
are still posted.
It wasn't like
it's not like that, but it's like, I mean, it's kind of like the last instance. I will say this 100%. That's so completely different than than this thing between the Phillies and the Braves. What Tory did, as much as some people might think like, oh wow, that was kind of crass, like it was so endearing to so many people that we love Tory.
Yeah, he got way more fans than he lost. And I
saw a different side of him, and that was a good side.
And honestly, like Tory is so professional 99% of the time that to me, I think the joy there is seeing that side of him that we never actually get to see.
He said, as Cogs just pointed out, he said he's going on a bender live on
disappear.
MLB Network.
He said he's probably going to disappear for the next 24 hours. I was really hoping he was going to show up here because I was just going to leave with him and we're going to clear this fridge out of Four Peaks beers and get going.
I like what he said last night too, where he was asked about the Dodgers and he was like, if I had a little more champagne, I'd say something different. But you know what? Let me kind of reel it in.
The high road.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be respectful of the Dodgers.
I love them so much.
The last thing I'll say about this incident, whether Arcia's comments should have seen the light of day or not, Bryce Harper was still going to hit those 2 home runs. Like at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Bryce Harper, maybe he gained some extra fuel from this, but he's also Bryce Harper, and he's building a resume before our eyes of being one of the best postseason performers that we've seen in a while.
Correct.
And I don't think this actually moved the needle in terms of the result of any of these games.
He might not they won slit his throat.
Yeah. Do not get Bryce Harper mad. He is like the Incredible Hulk. Do not get him mad. He would have hit 1 home run. I disagree with you on that, but he wouldn't have gotten 2.
1 would have gone to the warning track. That's for sure. We got some super chats, by the way. I want to give a quick shout out to a couple of our guys. Chris Bailey, thank you so much, Chris, for being here again, for your super chat again. Said, want to give this during last night's show, but just couldn't stay up any longer. Love this team. I understand. I was spent myself. I don't even know what well of energy I dug into to yell and scream as much as I did last night. Classy Nasty, thank you for your super chat. He says, Snakes, it's the Yoffs. That's right. It is the damn Yoffs. And I will say this, the Arizona Diamondbacks, of course, can use all of the positive, good vibes, all of the things going their way, ball bouncing their way, ball bouncing into the seats, like Jesse said. But we have somebody who we absolutely love and adore around here, Chris Melton, our den mother of PHNX. I'm wearing my Team Marlene shirt today. She, at the end of the season, lost a customized jersey that her mother, who passed away, Marlene, we miss you very much, gave her during their time as Diamondbacks fans. The jersey meant a lot to her. She lost it during the last regular season game of the year. Unfortunately, the jersey has not come back yet, but the Arizona Diamondbacks presented her yesterday with a new replacement jersey. Derek Hall gave it to her himself. And you just can't help but feel like, this team loves its fan base, and they understand. Like, they understand these season ticket holders, these people, especially in this town, are really they're the foundation. This team doesn't have the same kind of out of control fan base that some other franchises are lucky enough to have. So these are the people that we have to absolutely take care of. And I mean, Chris has done so much for us and this team that it's great to see someone give back to her.
That's a great
story.
And
there she is.
That's a great story. I love that.
Yeah, I mean,
that was cool.
And honestly, like I said, I mean, right now there's a lot of things going on when it comes to this team. And
there's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot of things coming on this team.
Is there some news?
There's some possible things that they want the positivity to keep rolling on. But I know Chris and I have talked about it, and this was we've said Mom was watching over the team this year, and you can't help but feel that with all of this that's happened to them and this wonderful run that they're on. But again, shout out to the Diamondbacks. I think Chris was on like Channel 12 News and stuff trying to get that jersey back.
Yeah.
He was on every network.
Yeah, let's get that jersey back, by the way. It's still out there
now.
somewhere. So let's get the real one back. And I mean, of course, that way
assemble a Chase Field search party.
I absolutely will. I will
It's
link arms and I will go
seat
seat by seat.
It's there somewhere.
You think
right?
so?
I think that's where it was lost, was inside of the stadium, unless somebody picked it up and brought it out, which I guess
probably
is possible,
the case. Yeah, that's probably the case. But anyway, shout out to Chris. Shout out to all of you. We thank you guys, of course, for being here in the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. We thank you guys for being PHNX diehards. If you haven't signed up for that membership yet, do so now. Go to gophnx.com. Sign up. You'll get a free piece of merchandise from a phnxlocker.com. Of course, get that wagon shirt. This team is a wagon. And not only is this team a wagon, but this team is dangerous. And we might have a new shirt coming for you, debuting here very soon. But there are all of our wonderful, wonderful playoff season shirts. So make sure to check out that full selection over at phnxlocker.com. And again, make sure to sign up. If you haven't signed up, get your free piece of merch. You also get access to our members-only Discord lounge. You get discounts with our partners, $50 gift certificate to Mountain Mike's Pizza, so much more. Dobson Ranch card, which is that Dobson Ranch card, invaluable. So make sure, get yourself all of that stuff over here at gophnx.com. And also, we wanted to make sure everybody is aware of the Out of Darkness walk that our friend Leah here at PHNX has been helping put together for all of us here. And I mean, honestly, it's we're trying to get back to the charity. I think when I do get the swear jar, what we're going to do is donate all of the money that we put in the to charity. But the Out of Darkness walks, of course, is from the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Just personally, I have lost one of my favorite cousins in this world due to suicide. It's never easy. And the one thing we want to make sure everybody knows is that we're there for you and there are resources there for you. So the Out of Darkness walk is just a chance for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention to raise awareness and to raise some money for this cause and make sure that, you know, we strongly send the message that suicide can be preventable and that none of you are alone. So make sure if you have a chance to sign up for that walk or of course, make sure to contact us and find out how you can participate with us as well. So we appreciate all of your support. And of course, you guys have been an incredible community. So we just want to keep it going. We do have the link for the walk in our comments. So if you get a chance, go ahead and check that out. Cog says that jar is going to be so full so fast. I'm just going to throw a 20 in there out of the gate, and that should cover at least the first two shows, maybe. Probably not a whole post-game show.
Depends on the result of game one.
Are we? I mean, are we doing? Is it retroactive since the show started
it's not
2 years
retroactive.
ago?
Absolutely not. No. But
we're gonna make a sizable donation on day one.
Man, I got a lot of money to pay, but of course, we will be back here tomorrow. Hopefully, we'll have another special guest in the house joining us so that we can talk a little bit more about these snakes. But in the meantime, you can follow us all on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Patrick is at Patrick D Lines. Jesse is at Jesse N Friedman. Michaela is at Michaela. Some initial Perkins. I don't know. E Perkins. Yeah. Everybody uses their middle initial. Jacob, he's reasonable. He's Jacob_Franklin 4. Again, the fourth best Jacob Franklin.
That just means his middle name starts with an underscore. Right?
Gotcha. Jacob_Franklin. That's all we're calling him.
My middle name is Jacob, but we'll get on that another time.
Oh, no.
Wait, really?
What?
Wait, what?
What are we
No
doing?
way.
Show. We can talk about this after.
No, absolutely not. We are going to talk about this right now. We're not ending the show at all.
What's your
first name, Jacob?
Jacob.
Your name is Jacob Franklin?
No.
No, that's what you said.
I swear
You said.
It is what I said, but it's not true.
Okay. All right. Well, now he's not going to tell us, so we got to move on. But again, we thank you guys all for watching. Of course, our show is at PHNX D-backs, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We appreciate you guys. Cog says, can we still bark? We absolutely, we're always Damon's dogs.
Arf, arf, arf.
Yeah, arf, arf, arf. And of course, we also have to give you guys a fine ski before we get out of here, right?
Ski, Derek.
A ski to you too, Patrick. Ski, Jesse. But we thank you guys again for being here. We thank you for your time. He's not going to do it.
I
He
still don't
refuses to do
understand
it.
what ski
See,
means.
until
Apparently,
he
it doesn't really
learns-
mean anything.
Yeah, until he learns the
So-
definition, he's not going to use it in a sentence at all. But of course, we thank you guys again for being here. We appreciate your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is more fun when you ski.
We all silly like the mayor.